Hey, it's Lynn from lynnburnett.com, and this is your Daily Hustle. Is it time to gag your gremlin? What's your gremlin? It's that voice in your head, that damn little voice that speaks to us. Sometimes it yells, and sometimes it whispers. It's the part that's responsible for fear, rage, and the reproductive drive. Comes from a physical part of our brain, and your gremlin will control the outcome of anything, no matter what. Your gremlin wants attention. It wants attention. So, let's give it some. So what does this little bugger do? It makes us do the opposite of what we say we'll do. The opposite of what we say we want. It's the resistance that we feel. That resistance that pushes against us when we say we want to do something. You know the feeling. You say you want to get back into getting in shape, and maybe you're going to be more active. You're going to start going to the gym, or you're going to start instituting a new habit, whatever it is. And then it's that thing that says, oh, you don't really want to do that. Why do you want to do that? Come on, no one else is doing that. You're comfortable. You're comfortable. Everybody's comfortable the way it is. Why do you want to change it? That's the resistance. That little gremlin talks to us about our abilities and our capabilities, who we are, our personality. Talks to us about our physical appearance. It says blanket statements, not even useful stuff, just blanket statements. The I'm not good at fill in the blank. It says stories. It tells us stories about who we are, where we've come from, and why we can't move forward. And that little bugger, that little gremlin, feeds on your beliefs. It says things like, be realistic. Do you think you could do that? Oh, that's too risky. Don't try it. Something bad's going to happen. Or what will people think? People are going to think you're crazy. Or I can't fill in the blank. Or I've never been able to fill in the blank. Or I need to lose weight. Or I look so old. Or I can't do that. Or I've never done that. And on it goes. It's also known as the lizard brain. Have you heard that before? And it really makes us feel fear, indecision, unworthiness, anxiety, overwhelm, shame, depression, and hopelessness. We get caught up in a downward spiral. So you need to find new stories to feed that gremlin. So Tony Robbins talks about a triad, and it's 3 primary patterns of emotions. What we focus on. You can choose what you focus on, and you can choose whether you want to focus on the good stuff or the bad stuff. The second thing in the triad is the language. What are the words that you use? And what's the meaning that you give those words? Really be careful of the language that you use. Does it feed you? Does it empower you? Does it drag you down? I know we get caught up in these little moments where we have these little mini pity parties sometimes. And you know what? We're human. That happens. But it's your ability to get over that quickly, to recognize it quickly and say enough. The last of the 3 things in the triad is the physiology. What is your physiology? Do you stand? Your shoulders hunched? Do you stand kind of bent over? Do you look down? Do you have an empowering stance? A stance that commands confidence. So a good way to control this little gremlin is to think of the triad. What are you going to focus on? What's the language you're going to use? And what is the physiology? The quickest way to change your mind, your feelings, is your physiology. And that's why we say it's so important to get moving. Get out, get moving. So when does the gremlin come out? This will help you be aware and notice it and stop it in its tracks. There's certain situations and behaviors that will trigger it. Absolutely. So comparing ourselves to others, obligations and expectations that we feel from others, our intuition, self-pity, commiserating. We tend to do this when people say, oh, I'm just having a really bad time. And then we say, oh, yes, I know you feel so bad. It's so terrible. That's not what we need. We need someone to help pick us up when we can't pick ourselves up. Or when we're on the verge of something big. Like I mentioned, that resistance, that pushback when we want to try something new. We feel it in our cells. Our cells in our body actually will vibrate when we try something new. That's that resistance. So try and notice what your triggers are so that you can be more aware and stop it in your tracks. So what can you do? Well, you can stop looking at things that are going to have you comparing yourself to other people and your life to other people's lives. You can limit your contact with certain people if they make you feel bad or you find that they trigger you. You really need to find out what works for you. Maybe you need to cut back on certain obligations. So how do we give it attention? Let's personify it. I like to tell clients to give it a name. Give the gremlin an identity. So when it's triggered, you can see that as something outside of yourself. So you can recognize it. So you can actually put your hand out and say, stop. Talk to the hand. Because you're the one that's in control of the gremlin. You're the one that's in control that can make the decisions that can make it stop. So try giving it an identity. Coloring is really big now. Sit down, draw a picture of your gremlin. Name it. Name your gremlin. And then you can talk to it. And it does. You may think you're probably laughing and go, yeah, bullshit on that. Try it. Try drawing a picture, giving it a name, giving it an identity. Because it's so much easier when it's something that's outside of ourselves. Language is so big. And when we can actually say stop and change that story, this is where affirmations come in so handy. And it may feel a little off for you, but again, it's the resistance, right? It's that little gremlin saying, don't give me that. Try the I am affirmations. Notice how you feel. And then again, the triad. What are you going to focus on? What's the language you're going to use? And the physiology. Get out there and get moving. If you found this helpful and you're interested in taking the inner critic, the inner gremlin questionnaire, you can email me and ask me for it. I'd be happy to send it to you. You can email me at info@lynnburnett.com. So until next time, go out there and be fierce.